plasma and red blood cells. We'll have a quick overview of the composition and constituents of plasma, along with an outline of red blood cells' functions and their some indicators. These are going to be our learning objectives for the session. Blood is approximately 8% of the total body weight, in which women have approximately 5 liters, whereas men have 5.5 liters of the blood. Blood is composed primarily of plasma and the blood cells. Blood cells, we know, are red blood cells, the erythrocytes, white blood cells called leukocytes, and platelets. Whereas the blood is majorly meant to transport materials between the cells and between the cells and the external environment as well. The major functions of three blood types, I hope you already know. Red blood cells for hemoglobin and oxygen transport, leukocytes for immunity, and platelets for the hemostasis. In the respective coming up sessions, we will be having detailed discussions on the functions and other aspects of these three types of cell lineages. One important thing to know over here is that white blood cells and red blood cells are complete cells in which leukocytes have nucleus, whereas mature RBCs do not have nucleus. And the platelets are formed from cells, and these are not themselves complete cells, rather the cell fragments on it. If we centrifuge the whole blood sample and let it stand for a while, the blood cells which are heavier will settle down and the plasma will come to stay at the top. So this image is showing the relative proportion of plasma and the blood cells in the blood, where 55% of average human blood is composed of plasma, whereas 45% of it is the cells. Among the cells, you can see the bottom 45% of this is covered by the erythrocytes, and there is a small whitish appearance, a very small line, which is called as the buffy coat, and this is composed of platelets and leukocytes that makes up approximately even less than 1% of the whole blood. What you are looking at over here, the proportion occupied by the blood cells, including red blood cells, and less than 1% by the white blood cells and platelets. Overall, we called it packed cell volume or hematocrit. We will be having its detailed discussion in RBC indices. However, right now, I would like to emphasize that it is the percentage volume of the blood occupied by the RBCs. So this is the whole volume of the blood, and the percentage volume of blood occupied by the blood cells is the packed cell volume, which in this image is 45%. Erythrocytes are approximately 99% of all blood cells, and hematocrit, the packed cell volume on average is 42% among females and 45% among males. That's because males have more RBC count, and there are multiple factors behind that. For example, the females undergo a menstrual loss of blood in RBCs, whereas men don't, and they have anabolic hormones like testosterone that females don't have, which have a positive erythropoietic effect. And there are, of course, other reasons as well. The remaining plasma volume is, of course, a little bit different among the females and males again. Plasma, if we talk about the functions, majorly is a transport medium for the materials. It also helps in distribution of heat between the tissues. For example, in case of hyperthermia, it distributes the heat to the peripheral cutaneous vessels from where it is lost to the environment. It helps in maintaining a stable blood temperature despite heat exchanges, helps in elimination of excess heat from the skin surface. If we talk about the plasma composition, it is 90% of the water and other inorganic and organic substances. Inorganic substances constitute even less than 1% of the plasma weight, including the cations and anions, and organic substances include mostly the plasma proteins and a few other materials like nutrients, waste products, exhaust gases, and the hormones. As you know, the blood is composed of plasma and RBCs. The plasma is further having water, inorganic, and organic constituents. If we only minus plasma proteins from the plasma, what we will get in return would be the serum. Plasma proteins functions, there are many plasma proteins and the functions are many. To name a few which are the most important, the formation of colloid osmotic pressure, which helps in keeping the blood contained inside the blood vessels. If this plasma colloid osmotic pressure is lost, plasma will squeeze into the extracellular fluid. This colloid osmotic pressure is exerted by the plasma protein, and that mostly by the albumin. In case of decrease in colloid osmotic pressure, the person may experience edema. Another important function of plasma protein is the pH buffering. Transport of oxygen, for example, by hemoglobin. Transport of iron. Immunity functions by the immunoglobulin proteins. Clotting by the clotting factors. And here I'm going to show you 2-3 images of a series of plasma proteins and their principal functions that you can give a review by yourself. This is from the genome review of physiology. If we broadly classify the plasma proteins, we can categorize them into albumins, globulins, and the fibrinogen. Albumins are the most abundant and the most important contribution to the colloid osmotic pressure. They also provide transport to certain chemicals like bilirubin, penicillin, bile salts. Whereas globulins are of further 3 types. Alpha and beta globulins are majorly the transporters, and gamma globulins are majorly for the immunity. Alpha and beta globulins also serve as clotting proteins. And lastly, the fibrinogen has important role to play in the blood clotting process. All these proteins are synthesized in the liver except the gamma globulins, which are synthesized by the immune cells. This is a summary slide showing the constituents of the plasma and their major functions. Also, this is showing the cellular elements and their major roles to play in the body. Now we will move towards the brief overview of the erythrocytes, that is the red blood cells. Erythropoiesis occurs in different areas of the body when we look into different parts of the life cycle from embryonic life till the adult age. We will have a complete whole session on the topic of erythropoiesis later. It is a biconcave structure. Again, RBCs are more among males as compared to females. We will have a complete whole session on the red blood cell indices as well. There are much more functions of the RBCs, but to name a few, the most important function is carrying oxygen and working as a buffer. Its lifespan is only 120 days, after which these are degraded by the macrophages and spleen majorly. Functions of erythrocytes: oxygen transport with the help of hemoglobin, carbon dioxide transport by the carbonic anhydrase mechanism, as well as in bound form to the hemoglobin, acid-base buffering mechanism, again in combination with hemoglobin. Red blood cells shape is biconcave. It is thicker at the edges and thinner in the center. Its dimensions you can see over here. Its diameter 7.8 micrometer and maximum thickness is 2.5 micrometer, which will be found at the edges. RBCs are deformable. That is why they can squeeze through the narrow capillaries. Their diameter is 7 to 8 micrometer, but they can squeeze through their 3 micrometer diameter capillary. Because of this biconcave disc-shaped surface, they have a large surface area to volume ratio. The cell organelles, they lack nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, and mitochondria. As they do not have mitochondria, they have to rely on the glycolytic mechanisms for the generation of energy. They have an enzyme carbonic anhydrase, a role to play in carbon dioxide transport. Can you think of why the lifespan of RBCs is so short? You can search through or get back to me if needed. This is the visual image of the size and dimensions and shape of the RBCs. The biconcave disc, thicker at the margins and thinner in the center. The concentration of RBCs in the blood. People living at high altitude have more concentration and number of RBCs. That is an adaptive response. 15 grams of hemoglobin per 100 ml of blood in males and approximately 14 grams in females. Hemoglobin concentration in RBCs, mean concentration of hemoglobin is 34 gram per 100 ml of blood cells, and this is the maximum concentration and metabolic limit. Those having anemia will have less concentration of hemoglobin per 100 ml of RBCs, but nobody can have more than 34 gram per 100 ml of RBCs because RBCs do not have the potential to concentrate it more than that. At 100% saturation, each gram of hemoglobin can bind 1.34 ml of oxygen, and rest of the details of oxygen carrying capacity of hemoglobin in RBCs will be discussed in the lectures on respiratory physiology. That's all about an overview of RBCs. We will have separate sessions on erythropoiesis, anemias, iron, and hemoglobin metabolism. Thank you.